Hey guys, and welcome to a video on the free Softcap set that has been made available in Black Desert with the most recent patch. The Trina Knight's first captain support kit was added with the recent patch and is available for 1 week. What it does is, on any level 60 character, once per account, you can claim a support kit, and when you open it, it gives you a full set of Softcap gear. Now this gear is not boss gear, it's a limited time set that exists for exactly 7 days. And it provides you with a amount of AP and DP equivalent to a full set of Tet boss gear with tri-yellow accessories. Now, personally I feel that Pearl Abyss is testing the waters with this 7-day set to see if a permanent addition to the game would be a good idea. They've been slowly adding better and better welfare items to the game. Good examples would be the Asula set and the Black Abyssal weapons. And this is the logical conclusion for welfare items, a set that allows new players to compete in endgame content but is still worse than true endgame gear, as it does not contain magic crystal slots, which are fairly important to endgame gear, and it's also not upgradable. So there's a few different sort of camps in regards to this set. There are players that think this is a great idea and should be made permanent or at least extended the duration, as it only lasts 1 week from the time that you open the kit, and you can only claim it until the 1st of August. Then there's people that think it's a terrible idea and that the mere existence of this set, even for a single week, is actually destroying the game. So I'm going to be going over the pros and cons and kind of addressing why I personally think this set would be a good idea as a permanent addition to the game, how that could be implemented, and sort of addressing some of the concerns that players have about the set. So the pros are new players can experience endgame PvP and PvE without grinding for months and going through the experience that is enhancing. Enhancing is, as everyone knows, a terrible experience for most players. Unless you're super lucky, it's a real feel-bad experience when you first start trying to go for Tri and Tet, and all your hard work goes down the drain and you're left with worse items than you started with, and missing out on hundreds of millions of silver. And new players often come up against the wall that is enhancing and quit the game. So this set allows them to sort of experience endgame without having to delve too deep into enhancing. If they decide to continue playing because they want to experience endgame beyond that, then they can sort of delve into enhancing and more of the game's deeper systems, but this set is a great baseline starting point for experiencing content such as Dragon and Kama Sylvia. It also provides incentive to level to 60 and beyond, as well as helping to convert free-to-play players into paying players as they attempt to earn silver to achieve true Softcap, so get the actual boss items, and move beyond that. Ever since the Renown patch, Softcap has been moving up from what this set offers, and any player that likes what this set offers is going to want to continue to improve beyond what it offers so they can compete with better geared players. In addition to this, since the Renown score patch, Softcap has been slowly progressing higher and higher. For the first year, maybe half year to a year after the addition of Pride of Pen, Softcap was full Tet boss gear with tri-yellow accessories, and that's where most players would stop. However, since the addition of the Renown score, Softcap has been moving up, and this patch sort of allows players to achieve a baseline stat required to fight other Softcap and above players without being stomped into the ground. Now, when addressing sort of the cons of this set, there's two different camps that I've found in discussing with other players. The reason this video is only coming out on Saturday, despite the set coming out on Tuesday, is because there are some pretty huge, or Wednesday I guess, there have been some pretty huge changes in how I viewed the set as I've discussed with various players and people in Discord over the last couple of days. So, the first camp is that it devalues the efforts of Softcap players. Players who have earned their gear by themselves feel that Black Desert Online is a game where the journey is the content, not the destination. Endgame is something you should have to earn in Black Desert, and it's not something that should be given to anyone who can hit 60. Now, whether or not 60 is easy to get is another discussion entirely, but essentially the argument is Black Desert is a game where getting that gear is the content. Yes, using that gear to fight high level monsters or for better nodes is sort of the purpose of getting better gear, but you're doing the exact same thing over and over. It's not like World of Warcraft where you've got new exciting dungeons and raids that are unlocked. It's not like ESO where you get access to higher tier battlegrounds. It's all about doing the exact same thing you did before, just against better players or better monsters, and as such, enhancing your own gear is part of the reward of getting to endgame. If you're given the gear itself, it devalues both the efforts of players that have already done this, as why should they have gone for Softcap if everyone is going to get it for free, and it sort of takes away from part of the fun of the game. Now, the other camp is that it destroys the game balance. Currently, players are spread out across the zones from Pirates to Valencia to Comasilvia. A permanent Softcap set would force more players towards the endgame and cause unnecessary conflict and strife in higher level spots. Currently, new players cannot go to good places such as Fogans because they don't have the gear to kill the Fogans, and they definitely don't have the gear to fight other geared players coming to do Fogans themselves. So giving them a free Softcap set means that all of a sudden these players can go and contest spots that they shouldn't be able to contest at their current stage of playing the game. Now, the counterpoints to these are the benefits of achieving Softcap before such a set comes out are kind of twofold. So basically, if you got the Softcap set, like if you had full Tet Bosque with yellow accessories before a Softcap set like this permanently came out, you have benefits that sort of have already been given to you. The first benefit is that you get to experience the power of being Softcap before newer players get a boost in power. Currently, a Softcap player can easily stomp lesser geared players, and it's not really a competition either. You can let them attack you for 10-15 seconds, they won't do much to you, and then you can one-shot them. Softcap players have gotten to experience this for as long as they've been Softcap 4. They've also been allowed to experience places such as Comasilvia, Valencia, any new content Softcap players have been able to do, whereas newer players have sort of struggled to keep up. The second benefit is their gear retains its value. It's upgradable, it can be sold to fund other pieces of gear, and it will always have a baseline value. Plus, it's worth more because magic crystals are pretty powerful in endgame PvP. The Softcap set not having magic crystals is actually a pretty big strike, not in its favor. The new set has no silver value, and it's only useful to gain a decent level of power so that new players can compete as they attempt to get the true Softcap gear. So, even if the new Softcap set came out, it's not like players have lost value. Their Softcap sets, their Tet Bosque and Tri-Yellow accessories, can still be sold for the exact same price as before. It's not going to change how much their gear is worth. It's not going to change how much the net worth of their account is. It just makes newer players, it gives them an easier time of gaining silver and earning that gear themselves. Now, a third point is that level 60 is not as easy for new players as vets claim. It takes weeks with bad green beginner gear and a continuous lack of silver as you're constantly spending silver on new items to achieve 60. In fact, I think most players would probably take 2 to 3 months as they don't know how to grind properly, they don't have the proper gear to grind, they're sort of learning everything as they go, they're not grinding efficiently, they're not using all the XP boosts available. So it takes a long time for a new player to get 60. Giving new players a goal to strive for, so hit 60 to get good gear, would encourage players to continue leveling, and having a decent endgame set once they hit 60 also encourages players to participate in node wars, new endgame areas such as Comasilvia and Dragon, and increases the number of players willing to stay and play the game. So these are kind of points in the favor of adding a Softcap set. It's not going to devalue older players' net worth, which is silver. The older players have already gotten to experience the power of being at Softcap for a long time, and it gives extra incentive to go for 60, because currently going for 60 is just for additional skills. Yes, going for 60 is advisable, especially if you want to do endgame PvP, but newer players don't have as much of a drive to go for 60 as they do for 56 and 57 and 58 when you unlock the majority of your awakened skills. So, a permanent Softcap would be a welcome addition to BDO, in my opinion. Pearl Abyss seems to be testing to see if the potential value added by converting newer players into paying players, who would then attempt to go beyond Softcap, is worth the possible loss in value from disgruntled veterans who would quit over the new set being added. It's also possible that this will be added to either the Xbox version or as a cash shop purchase. It's also quite likely that Pearl Abyss simply never does anything with the set, and the event fades into obscurity, as they do stuff like this fairly often, where they have decent or good ideas, do them once, and never return. Personally, my favorite idea is that this will be added as sort of an extension of the Capotia set, with pieces being doled out from, for example, 59 to 62. How this could work, in my idea, would be at level 59, you'd get the armor pieces, so helmet, armor, gloves, and boots. At level 60, you get the weapons. Level 61, you get the Capotia rings, both of them, and the belt. And level 62 would give you the earrings and the necklace. This would incentivize players to level up even beyond 60. It would provide more motivation to go for 61 and 62. And finally, it would mean that you could try out a new class with Softcap weapons without having to reroll as long as you can hit 60 on the class, which for a veteran player doesn't take too long. 60 is about a week, at most 2 weeks, of using the XP hour and a bit of additional grinding on the weekend. So the reasons not to add the set certainly have merit, but MMORPGs are games that are continuously evolving and adding more endgame content. Locking players out of this content is a bad business move on the part of Pearl Abyss, and it's likely that this will be addressed sooner rather than later. Okay, so that ends sort of the scripted portion of the video. After this, it's just going to be me rambling for a little bit, so if you don't want to listen to that, you can kind of skip out now. But basically, going back to argument counterpoints, the cons of adding the Softcap are devaluing the efforts of Softcap players, and you shouldn't be giving new players stuff for free, and destroying the game balance. So, devaluing the efforts of Softcap players. So, like I already said, Softcap players have been at Softcap for a while. Softcap, unless you're a brand new player that only just recently at Softcap, most Softcap players are veterans of the game that have been playing for well over a year, usually up to about 2 years at this point. They've been able to experience Softcap for quite a long time. They've been kings of the hill for a long time, and they've been able to destroy new players, or even veterans that just don't have as much time, for months or even years at this point. Yes, giving new players free stuff is not a great move in most games, but it depends on the free stuff you give them. Giving them Softcap set gives them the base stat line needed for endgame. That's it. It doesn't give them the ability to stomp players. It does not give them the ability to absolutely wreck veteran players. All it does is allow skill to come back as sort of a modifier and an actual variable that is present in PvP matchups. In Node Wars right now, in Tier 1 Node Wars, and even in Tier 2 Node Wars, you'd want there to be tactics and skills involved. You want there to be strategy, you want there to be players making big outplays, guilds making big outplays, instead of just calling for protected area and zerging forward. However, no matter how many tactics and strategies you have, how most Tier 1 Node Wars end up is you'll have a couple super geared players on either side that come in, they stomp the ball, and then sort of gang up to try to kill each other. And whichever side's geared players manage to kill the other side's geared players is the side that usually comes out ahead. There's not really many tactics involved because unless your entire guild manages to stomp each geared player one at a time without the rest of the enemy guild doing anything to stop you, not much is going to change. Giving the Softcap set means that geared players all of a sudden aren't one-shotting sort of like half of Tier 1 Node War guilds. They're not one-shotting random players in leveling zones, and they're not just sort of trivializing most players' skill in PvP matchups, both Node Wars and 1v1s. In addition, in open world, so sort of the other one with the game balance, current players are spread out from parts of Valencia, Comasilvia, Medea. You've got people at Sawsins, people at Fogans, Nagas, Crescent, a few misguided souls that still farm at Bashams. And players argue that if you give players a Softcap set, they will be incentivized to go and mess up experienced players' rotations, mess up veterans' places, and the veterans have earned the right to grind in these spots. However, this has already happened numerous times in the game's past. When the game first released, Catfishman was the best spot to grind. But if you go there now, I would challenge you to find more than 1 or 2 level 55s, or 56 plus, farming Catfishmen, Manshaws, Giants, Rutum Outpost, Treant Sanctuary. No one goes there. Hex Sanctuary is probably like the only place I can think of back in Calpheon that people willingly grind for money. Experience, you don't really go for Calpheon at all for experience, but Hex Sanctuary can at least have some decent money. And this is sort of just the natural progression of MMOs. Medea is for the most part outclassed content, rather, not classified, with the exception of Sawsons, and if you're really in the mood, you can go for like Soldier's Grave for skill points. No one goes to Medea. Rogues, I like to grind there because no one's ever there. Like, if you go to the Rogues and there's people there, it's because they're doing a guild quest. That's pretty much the only reason you find them there. Or they're like a fresh 55, 56, just trying to grind for some levels, skill points, and silver. So, as players advance, as the game continues, older zones are outclassed and abandoned. And it's up to Pearl Abyss to sort of breathe new life into these zones. It's not up to the players to be forced back into these zones because veteran players want to monopolize the best spots. And the best spots also have the best silver by far. Like, back when the game released, and even up to just a couple months ago, silver was decently difficult to get with grinding. 15 to 20 million an hour was considered really good last summer. This summer, 30 million an hour is like the baseline. You can do sea monster hunting for several hundred million, up to like 1 billion silver a week. Events such as the Koi event happened. Mass inflation has happened. And the prices of stuff have remained constant. So it's harder than ever for new players to get Softcap gear because, yes, silver gain has been increased, but that also means that the silver cost of most items has gone way up, pre-order prices are way up, and even the price of greens is at their maximum. It's difficult for a new player to start these days as they don't know how to earn silver. It's difficult for them to earn silver, and giving them a free Softcap set allows them to participate in endgame content and be somewhat relevant while still not destroying the achievements and accomplishments of veteran players. The Softcap set, missing magic crystals is a huge downside to it. Magic crystals are a large portion of endgame PvP, especially now that resistance crystals, such as knockback, knockdown, floating, stuff like that, are viable with the changes to how crowd control works, making these crystals function like they should. Missing out on magic crystal slots is a really big strike against Softcap, the Softcap set, and players that have the Softcap or above with actual boss gear are at a major advantage thanks to these crystals. If you are equally skilled and one player is using normal Softcap and one player is using the Softcap set, the player at normal Softcap should win most fights because they can use magic crystals to suit their playstyle and to increase the advantage they have against the Softcap set player. Now, there are a few problems with the sets as well that I didn't really go over properly in the video. For one, level 60 is a little low, in my opinion, to be giving out the full set. Like I mentioned at the end of the scripted part, I believe that they should sort of spread it out between anywhere between 56 and 62, really, and sort of spread it out level to level. This would increase incentive to level, like I said, because instead of just getting a few new skills, which is exciting when you're still getting your flows and other new skills, but once you're hitting 59, 60, most classes only gain a single flow after 58, if anything. And as a result, it's not that exciting to level up. I mean, the Capotia ring and earring are nice. They're worth about 1 billion silver each if you could sell them. But even that's not really enough incentive for most players to go through the annoyingness that is grinding non-stop to hit 61 and especially 62. Adding the Softcap set pieces to all the way up to 62 would incentivize players to go for these levels even more. And for veteran players or players that don't want to, they still have the option to not have to care about it and just replace it with actual sellable items. Another problem with the Softcap set is that new players, it does sort of outclass other pieces of gear. What I mean by this is stuff like the Lemuria set and Laverto set, or Laverto weapon rather. It's not great, but it has its place in the game, and same with Blue Awakening weapons. They sort of exist as what the Softcap set does to allow players to achieve Softcap levels of AP and DP at a cheaper price than getting real Softcap does. Adding the Softcap set would sort of make these obsolete, and that is sort of a problem, but at the same time, Black Desert's done this numerous times. There are so many green weapons that exist that no one uses because they're absolutely trash. With the exception of Rosar, Elsh, and with some rare exceptions, Kreia and Uria, the rest of the green weapons are all pretty bad. Most of the green offhands are fairly bad as well, with the exception generally of accuracy and pure AP offhands. And Laverto and Lemuria, well, Lemuria is not bad, but Laverto is not the greatest weapon either. So they've already outclassed and made obsolete numerous weapons before, so it's not as big a problem, but it is something to look at and something they should be aware of. So, in conclusion to the ramblings, yeah, there's pros and cons to it. Personally, I believe the pros outweigh the cons. We want to be increasing the number of new players that join the game and stay in the game. We want to increase the incentive to sort of level up and join endgame activities. And also, I feel that Black Desert wants to be increasing sort of the level cap and increasing gear itself. Like, I feel pen should not be the final piece right now. I feel that they should increase pen to like Deca or something in the future. But for now, hasn't happened. And adding a sort of baseline endgame set that players can use and then start upgrading with real gear from there would go a long way in improving new player retention and in allowing more players to experience endgame in Black Desert. Anyways, guys, if you stayed with me this far, thanks for watching. As always, subscribe if you like it. Comment below what you think about the Softcap set. Do you think it should stick around for longer? Do you think that 1 week is too short? Do you think it should be permanent? Do you think it should not have happened at all and that it's a huge mistake and Pearl Abyss should never have done it in the first place? Let me know in the comments below. I'll be trying my best to respond to as many comments as possible. But yeah, as always, thanks for watching and have a good one.